Welcome to Yeshiva Yeshiva sponsor Luinish Basar B'Akoshom Labasitzchok. We're holding Metzia Daf Ein Ches. We start at the top of the Amud in the first line. Says the Gemara. So we learn this idea. There's someone, if the seller really needs the money, that shows that he's now willing to sell the property based on deposit only. He wants to get the money. That's what he wants. So what Pshita is not a pashut. By Lizbuni b'meya v'lo yashkach. He tried to sell for 100. He's not able to. There's Zovim Matayim. So he sold it to him. What does it mean he sold it to 100? He sold a little bigger piece of land. He really needed $100. That's what he needed it for, because he needed to buy something nice. He wanted to buy for $100. But to sell $100, he wasn't able to sell. So he sold a bigger land, a larger property for $200. So he was basically forced to sell more than he wanted. So what's the din? So says the Gemara, and he is searching for money, right? He's trying to the idea that he's pressed for the money. So the din is loikoni. Then for sure there's no kinyan, and he says, as Rashi says, that in Tzadeh, it's clear to us that he doesn't really want to sell. In other words, I'm not interested if you're not giving me the money right away. No interest. I really don't want to sell this property. I was forced to sell because I need the money. If you're not giving the money, no point. If he wants to sell for 100, he could sell. But he didn't do enough effort. Hey, you have to go and you have to go out, you have to put in, the ads, and you have to go and announce it, and you have to make an open house. Hey, you didn't want to deal with it. If you work hard, you get to it. And he sold for 200. He's still running for the money. Mike, do you say it's considered that's moiches del also, which we learned, that's we ended the daf yesterday, that when a person sells his field because of something bad that happened, it shows he really wants to get rid of this field. So this guy, he didn't have to sell for 200, you could have sold for 100. It took a little effort for you. But it shows you really don't care about this field. The thing is that, or might say he just didn't want to work too hard, but he doesn't want to sell it, and he really wants the money, and he wants to stay, or not so sure. Really, we should have ended here yesterday, because this is really one continuation of what we saw before. Continues the Gemara. So if a person hired a worker and the worker caused him to lose, he's going to go and use their money to hire somebody else. Says the Gemara, how much can he hire above them? Which means he can use their entire money to hire somebody else. Shane point out, which means we should learn in different ways. One way the Rosh brings is you can do double. Meaning you can hire somebody and plus use the entire cost he's supposed to pay these guys, even what they did, to get somebody else. So right? It says even more, 40-50 zuz. Which means if the workers left their kalim, their work vessels in the house of the owner. So then he does have to pay for both. He has to pay for so then it's considered to be like a mashka. We shouldn't discuss how is it koinit or not, but the Gemara learns that when a worker comes to your house and he brings the stuff that he brings, that is like a deposit. It's a mashka. So you can take your money from there. It's part of the idea, part of the deal. Again, discussion exactly how it works, but that's what the Gemara says over here, and that's where you can take even more than the value of the salary. So the Mishnah. Someone rents a donkey to take it up the mountain. But he took it in the valley. Or the opposite. He took it in the valley and he went in the mountain. It doesn't matter if it's the same distance, not one with the other. And she died, we'll see the Gemara. In this case, we're not differentiating because the idea is that we are assuming that she died because of the change of scenery, change of air. She's used to the mountain. She goes to the valley. She's used to the valley. The mountain is not so hurled for her. Someone rented a donkey to go in the mountain, but it went in the biko, in the valley. If it slipped, which usually you slip in a mountain, because the mountain is high and has indentation and is a little wet, so you slip over there. It slipped in the valley, butter, because I took it to a place where it's less likely for her to slip. But if you eat it up, usually the valley is warmer than the mountain. So if she's too hot, then it's chayav. Says the Gemara, he told he hired the donkey to go in the valley, but he took it to the mountain. If she slipped, chayav, because in the mountain is more slippery than the valley. But if you heat it up and you potter, why is he potter? Because she in the valley should be much warmer. It says the Mishnah, the reason why she heat up is because it was so hard for her to climb the mountain. Then you're chayav. Says the Gemara, Soicher is chamor vivriko. We'll see vivriko what it means that it got blind. Or shenases anagio, or the king took it. Or says, this is yours. I'm not, it's like a mazol goyim. So he puts out, take. I give you the donkey. It's not nothing to do with me. Meso nishro, if the animal died or broke, chayav lamid l'chamor, has to give him another chamor in exchange. Now here, there's a very important. The Rishonim here. There's a lot of the shittas. Well, let's just to point out one thing. The way Tosfos says. Tosfos asks a simple question. Tosfos says, "What about the issue of tchilos b'shir v'sefer boynis?" I'm telling you that if I took the donkey on the mountain, if it slipped, it's my responsibility. But if it died because of the heat, I took it to a better place. The place was just cooler. Says Tosfos, we know there's a rule. Tchilos b'shir v'sefer boynis. What does it mean? You start something b'pshio, and you end boynus. Here, you start something b'pshio. What's the pshio over here? That you took it to a place that she could slip. You end boynus because it did slip. Okay, tchilos b'pshio so what else you chayav? According to one man dog, that's what he asks. So says Tosfos, the Yesod, says also early in the Masechta, he mentions it briefly, that tchilos b'pshio so boynus you chayav only in a case where the oinus is a result of the pshio. You did something of Pshil. And as a result, the oinus happened. Now, at the end of the day, it was oinus. I didn't do anything wrong, but the oinus would not have happened if you didn't do the Pshil. Here, this would happen in any case. Dying from heat would happen even more so in the valley. That's what happened to Pshil, the soifa, the oinus. Okay, says the Gemara, okay. In the ratio, we said, one in the mountain, one in the valley, died, Yechayev. In the Sefer, we said depends. Dies from the heat, dies from the slippery. We didn't say always Chayev. What's the difference? Says the Gemara, the Reish is talking about they died because of the air. Meaning, what is because of the air? Something in the air, she was breathing and she died. Nothing, she didn't get too hot. She didn't slip. The air brought her. We say the air of the mountain was not good for her. She's used to the valley. She's not used to more high altitude. She said the air of the valley was not good for her because she likes high altitude. She died from tiredness. Uvtzino means being tired, from exhaustion. So therefore, we could say that's what made her tired. Either making tired the fact that she went up the mountain, Rashi says, or if he took her to the valley, so even though we're not, it doesn't mean she's hot, but we say she was working hard, and usually when she works hard in the mountain, there's good air, so the air lets her breathe. But now that she's working so hard in the valley, that's not good for her, and that's why she died. So it happened because of the actions of the renter who misused her.
This is the classic Tchilas B'Shir.
No, this is called Tchilas B'Shir V'Sei B'Shir. She died because of B'Shir.
No, she B'Shir, and then later she died because she was tired.
No, Uvtzino. No, but who made her Uvtzino? Yeah, it's called, this part of the Gemara You started something bad and she died because of these actions. Says the Gemara, what happened was there was a snake, the bitter. So now I'm saying the snake bit her in the mountain, not in the valley. The snake wasn't there in the valley. The snake bit in the valley, not in the mountain. So because you brought it to this place is where the snake was. And Tosfos wants to say, Tosfos discusses, do we have to say that there was more snakes that day in the valley, in the mountain, or not? And he goes into the idea of Chazal Shir Zoynis and to speak about it. He wants to say, okay, let's leave it with that. He says, this is Rameir that holds that anybody who changes the das of Ba'abais, right away he's a Gazon, and he's responsible for everything that happens. The ratio, the safe of the Mishnah is Rabbanan. And that's why it depends on your actions. But the ratio is a Rameir. And Rameir holds, once I take something and bring it to the wrong, I change from the instructions that was given with another idea different than Ba'abais, so then it is my responsibility. And if it's my responsibility, I must go and I have to pay for everything. So why Rameir? Ilam Rameir the Tzava. This we mentioned briefly before in the Fein Zayin, but we mentioned in Rashi brought it, and this is what we learned in Masechet Bava. And then Hanoi said similar Tzava. Sorry, the Fein Vov. It said similar Tzava. Someone gave wool to the dyer. Someone who dyes the wool in order to dye red. But Tzava Shocher, and he dyed it black. Or Shocher Tzava Adam. Rameir, it's considered to be that he's a Gazlan. He has to pay back December. That's what it is. It depends on what it is. If it's the value increased by less than the expense, you pay him the value. If the expense is less than the increase, pay the expense. Pay the lower amount because he did something wrong. But but the December belongs to Ba'alais. So the question is considered to be Koine or not? It's going to be mine. That's not a right to our case. There is a shidui. He changed it. It was wool, and he colored it. He dyed it. So that's why he's Koine. But by us, to say when a person just changes the instructions to be Koine, we don't see. Ela Haramir, the Magbas Purim. Regarding when you collect money in Purim, the Tanya, Magbas Purim LePurim. Money that you collect the Purim needs to be given in Purim. Now, Tosfos points out that you're not allowed to change it to anything else, different than any other tzedakah. Any other tzedakah you're allowed to change. And the Shul Machshava of the staff, we can explain a little bit why Purim I can't change to another tzedakah. It's unique to Purim more than anything else. Magbas you collect money from that city, you have to give it to that city. We're not going to check too much, meaning we go and we give everybody what they need, and I'm not going to go cheshbonos in the year, just give to the city, or in Purim you give as much as kol ha'prishat noisim loy. Aval loikchim esa golim v'shreichatim v'oichlim oisom v'amoisa yipol l'kil shel zoker. What you do is you take a lot of animals and you shecht it, give everybody, and if there's something left, so then you go, you sell, give the Kish Tzedakah. So I don't do Cheshbonos to give each one exactly. I do as much as needed, and if there's anything left, I give Kish Tzedakah. Magbas, the Purim, as we mentioned before. He's not allowed to take it for his shoes. He has to take it for the food of Purim. So not only, the first one is that as Tosfos points out, the first sentence is regarding a Gabbai. The Gabbai tzedakah cannot change to something else. And the Chiddush is here even for the poor person. He can use the money of Purim only for his own food and not for something else. Right? He needs to go to the people of the city and say, I want to be able to use it. He could use it for something else. That's what we paskin. That if you give money only for Purim and he wants to use it for something else, he can use it. The Gabbai tzedakah cannot change it. It's a lochel l'maisa. We're machar with the Gabbai, but not by the poor person. Says the Gemara. So what do you see over here? You see that according to Rameir, what does Rameir say? Rameir says that Magas Purim L'Purim, and you can't change it, right? So therefore, it's considered to be. So Rabbi Yaakov says the name of Rameir, that you're not allowed to change it. And if you change it, you consider it to be that's something wrong. So you see from Yaakov Rameir, you're not allowed to change something for what is intended to be. Similar to Bava. So there is very different. There, the money of Purim is coming to be given for Purim, specifically for Purim. There's an Indian to give it for Purim. we'll speak about Shobach Shavah. There's a big Indian on Purim. There's a special unique thing of tzedakah. There's nothing to do with the regular tzedakahs for the rest of the year. So that's what he wants to do. So that's what it is. But still, when a guy says take it from one place and go somewhere else, they say that you changing is a problem. Says the Gemara, and Rashi explains, they're really not giving it unless you use a Purim. But not like in the case of a renter. So when Elah HaRamir, the following Ramir is the one who said that anybody who changed what Babai says, he has to go and give it back. Right? A person gives money for a poor person to buy a clothing, to buy a chaluk, which is like like a suit. It's a clothing that covers a shirt. Okay? So you don't take a talis with it. Talis like a chaluk. So see clearly, you give it to the honey, you can do one thing, not something else. You know what's the problem here? That's a different problem. Shmuel gets up and says, I'm going to give the poor person a beautiful talis. Past a week, the poor person doesn't have a talis. So people are going to start saying, Shmuel lied. But the truth is, Shmuel offered the talis to the poor person. He said, I prefer a shirt. So that's what we say, don't change. Says the right. They said that this person says he's going to buy clothing for this or poor person for like stubbornly. We said they're going to give him a clothing. He's not going to didn't give it to him. It says the Gemara in Ken, that's the reason. So say it's because of chashat, because of suspicion. You didn't say something else because you changed what was originally intended. That's the rayo. The Meir holds whenever a person goes and does differently than what he was telling, it's considered to be exile. That's why only cannot do it. And that's why when a person is seicher this way, he's responsible for everything that happens. So that was the answer. The Gemara said the ratio of the Mishnah Rameir is the safe as Rabban. Because here's the Gemara said says, because someone rented a donkey, and there was a vriko. Might be a vriko. Noriso means that something happened to the eye. Rashi calls it mulyo. I don't know translated in English, but it means there's some issue with the eye they can't see. What does it mean? It means that there is a worm. There's some worm that's in her legs, not allowing her to work. It's a more interesting story. Question, trying to understand why is it here? What is the story trying to tell us? Someone said, "Avaskos b'milso de malko." She came up and said, "By side there is a worm in the clothing of the king." Right? So he says, right? So these worms eat the clothing. What do you mean there was a worm in the king? Is it tlei kesef or betlei zov? Tlei dov. Is it silver or gold? So the meaning is not really silver and gold. Rashi explains that silver means linen and gold means wool. Interesting, right? We change the lashon. If some say he said it was in linen, they killed him. Why? Because it can be. Worms don't eat linen. Some say they said the wool, which that's normal for it to happen, and they let him go. So we just bring here a raya of this idea that Vazaks means a worm. So the Moshe says, Anargio, if it was taken by the king, it says, take the donkey. What does it mean, Anargio Chazeres? So Rashi learns, we're talking about, let's see the Gemara soon. Right. Let's just do one more sentence, we'll go back to this. So the Gemara says, "Shula be'anagi chazeres be'anagi sheini chazeres im b'der chalicho nitlo oim l'shchav v'necho f'in la b'der chalicho nitlo chav lamidlos b'chamor." So we have 2 points, and then we'll go back to the inside. That chazer means it's going to go back. The king takes it, but he's going to return it. So if he returns it, you tell him you wanted to rent it, you'll rent it a little later. Shmuel says it depends where he's renting. Rashi learns pshat is the way the king means not the king, people of the king, when they're going the way, they see someone walking on a donkey, and they say, well, I'm sorry, the king needs to use your donkey now for some things, and they use it. If they're going in the same path, the same way, so yes, he's losing out, for the fact that he needs to get from, half the way he's going without his donkeys, you have to rent another donkey, as Rashi says, but then he's going to get the donkey back. But they're going to the opposite direction, that doesn't work. So let's see it again inside. Omarav leishonu lebanagi chazeres. Not good that goes that we said that you could just tell him it's your problem. It means he's going to come back. So for the meantime, he's not responsible. The owner. Then it goes back. That means there's a full loss, and it's like as if it died. Shmuel Amar be'anagi chazeres be'anagi sheini chazeres goes back, doesn't go back. If it's on its way, because you're going to get it soon. You're going to get it soon. If it's not in his way, Toys obviously is bothered with it. One of the problems with Toys is that just let's discuss if you need the chamor or you don't need the chamor. What do you mean? It depends where it is. So he brings the Pirush of Rach that if it's derech halicha means that the king is now looking in the houses. They're not doing some kind of a raid where they're going into all the houses taking. They're going, it's the police on the way to find somebody. So derech halicha, so whose fault is it? It's the renter. I mean, you went in a place where there's police. Okay, so what can I do for you? If you would live in the house, it wouldn't be a problem. So I'm not responsible for that. But if they were doing the raid and they were looking for donkeys all over the place, and you could hide. So basically, it means like it's considered to be as if it died. So one brings a question. Someone rents a donkey. Like I said, something happened to the eye or the worm, or she went crazy. So the owner says, "This is you take your donkey." But if it died or the king took it, it's considered to be like he died. If the king took it, it's considered to be like dead, and you have to give something else. According to Rav, very easy. If it's given back, so then you don't have to give it something else. If you don't give it back, you do have to give it. Yeah, the owner is responsible. According to Shmuel, it's a little hard to say. Maybe say the chiluk Shmuel. Depends if it's on its way. According to Rashi, it's on its way, or according to Tosis, if they're coming taking it out. Look at the next part of the brayso. This chiluk that Shmuel said, or Shmuel also says, so you have a problem to the comment, Shmuel. So Shmuel, you're right. I don't work with Tanakam. But Shmuel does work with what I said. In other words, that we see sometimes in Shas, the Gemara really says you're right. From this price, it's clearly not like Shmuel Rabbanan. But Shmuel also clearly is like Shmuel. So Shmuel says, my svar is the Shmuel also svar, and I pass, and that's what I hold. Right? Not necessarily. We have a clear price, so it says like him. Say what you buy, so we know the answer. Yeah, it is all Shem Lazar, but you're missing here a piece. In other words, there's one big lush, it's all Shem Lazar. According to Shmuel, that's the Shittu Pascal Lach. It's not even a machlekes. That's what you're missing. Someone rents a donkey. She got blind or has worms. Or she went crazy. So the owner could say, I'm not responsible for it. So if it died, or it was taken by the king, so you need to give him another chamor because it died, so you have to give him something else. You don't say mazal gar. It wasn't, that's only if it was according to Rashi, wasn't on his way that the king took it. Or according to Tosfos, that it was a raid into the houses. But if it was taken doing on the way, or it was no raid in the houses, as Shmuel says all one thing, and that's when it goes on. The Vaytes Mudavin says that's Tivri of Shimon Lazar, Shaya of Shimon Lazar. That's what Shimon Lazar says. This concept of Shmuel, V'im lav chayav lamid l'chamor. So one says, if there's no machlekes over here, the whole thing is of Shimon and Elazar. Says the Gemara, Umimatz is mukur look of Shimon and Elazar. Can I say this of Shimon and Elazar? V'aktani reisha, it says in the beginning, hasoiches lechamor v'ivriko, or shishtato. He became blind or crazy. It says, give it back to him. Meaning what? That only if, he says clearly, they asked Lamid L'chamor. There's a Shimon Elazar says clearly that someone who says L'chamor Lirkov Aleo Lariko Chayav Lamid L'chamor. He does need to give him L'chamor. And you just said that he doesn't have to give him. If he's hiring it to write it, it's shani. Why? Rashi says meaning the way Rashi learns, this goes into a discussion which we're not going to have time to get into right now. But Rashi learns what's the problem? Why blind or warming is not a problem. You can still use it. Hi, she's blind. You'll figure it out. It says, but that's not if I'm writing her. If I'm writing her, it's a sukkah of vashes. So there you can't tell me just use it. But if you're taking a glass kalim, it's like writing it, because if you can't see where you're going, it will all break. So something which is for sure going to cause a damage that you can't say. And this shows us that the reasoning by the blind and by the warming is because you could still use it. And that goes back to what we said before, that when the king takes it also, you can still use it once it goes back where it's paderech. Very, very good. Very good. We'll stop over here. Because we should continue from this place tomorrow.